also feel it's best to like not have people being reiterating things that maybe have already been stated. So hopefully we can get this moving within an hour. This is for my own personal things. This isn't for a work venture, but I will take everything that you guys say here with heart, and I put together tons of documents and presentations and things, and I give that to our team. So that is essentially what I'll be doing here today. Is the things that you guys tell me will very likely go directly to the people responsible for Gigantic right now. So, man, uh, yeah, I just have some questions. So I think we can have people raise their hands in this chat, and I can kind of call on people and have you speak if you'd like, or you can just type. So let me figure out how to do that. Oh yeah, okay, I see people requesting to speak. Awesome. So I'm going to cancel all of you for right now. I still have the core feedback, of course. So yeah, I guess sort of more foundation about this is like I have tons of data, tons of community sentiment, feedbacks, comments, like directly taken from all of you guys, from Discord, from the Steam forums and Steam reviews, from our YouTube channel, from things I've seen in other people's YouTube videos, and like I've seen it all. I've watched everything. I've heard everything, but I just want to make sure that I'm not getting disconnected from the community, and anything that I'm getting from you guys, I want to cross reference with my material and also just hear it directly from you guys. Yeah, it's insane. 270 something people. You guys are great. So, yeah, I just kind of want to get started. Again, I wasn't expecting this many people to be here, but it's super cool you guys all came out for this. So I have a list of 10 questions, and if we have time at the end, I only wanted to make this like 15, 20 minutes, but I figure we can run it for an hour if you all are interested in staying around and hearing what people say and whatnot. So I guess at the end, we can have an open forum kind of discussion where people can bring up other topics and stuff that maybe weren't mentioned or other things that they'd like to discuss. But yeah, I'm just going to jump into asking the questions. So I think the format we'll do here is I'm just going to ask the question, and then you guys can raise your hand in the channel, and then I'll just start calling on people. So again, please, if somebody has said something prior to your chance to speak, uh, if you could say something else so that we're not just reiterating the same thing over and over again. Because I feel that a lot of you have very similar emotions and sentiment about the things that went on in Gigantic, gameplay, issues, all that jazz. So I just like to make sure that we can use the time as constructive as possible. All right, cool. So dismissing everybody. All right, cool. So I can't see the chat while I'm in this voice channel. So I won't be able to see if you guys are saying anything until I switch over. So yeah, open it up to the requests. I guess no, not yet. I haven't asked the question yet. So the first question is, why do you think Gigantic failed? So if you have, all right, generic guys first. Oh, Zatori hooking me up with the strats here.
Hi, go ahead. So, in my opinion, the biggest issue with Gigantic was on a more fundamental level with the quality of the product. So, there was no rank, there were a lot of technical issues, there was a lot of consistency issues with connectivity, matchmaking issues because of the low player base, and on the smaller scale, there were the design flaws, like the power rise being somewhat complicated to new players, or the disparity of skill that basically allowed you to stomp on new players, and that was quite abused by a lot of people that used to Smurf just to get on the leaderboards. Do you remember?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So besides that, I think that another reason that the game failed is because there was like no incentive to keep playing besides playing it. Like was no ranked. There were no additional content besides like the skins. There was no progression. Maybe that that was why a lot of people that got engaged initially then left the game.
Great answers. I've got all this written down. Yeah, thanks a lot, Generica. I know you've been such a prominent member of our community, and I know you've been really passionate about this. So I appreciate you coming out and providing all this stuff.
Thank you, Fetch. It's
Yeah,
a
man,
pleasure
you're great.
to hear you again. Hey.
All right, cool. So I'm gonna kick you out somehow, and then here, move to audience. All right, cool. And we're gonna accept Raccoon in here now. So these things were quality of product, missing ranked, tech issues, connectivity, bad matchmaking, power race being complicated for new players, and just general new player introductory experience being poor, and no further incentives like a ranked mode, additional content, progression, etc.
Yeah. Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, what's up, Raccoon?
Hey, SoFech. So I think some of the biggest issues with the game's failure come from the placement on Arc, uh, as well as the 6 GB RAM requirement, or I think it was RAM, um, that sort of kicked people out of playing the game initially. I know that was due to technical issues with the game, but I also know that it got review bombed on Steam because certain people couldn't play it, which was a bit ridiculous. But it still tanked the ratings on Steam. And with the Arc client, with the beta, the game was sort of launched in beta with not much fanfare, and when it eventually came to Steam, the only sort of advertising it had was due to just paying off streamers to play the game, and it didn't really have legs beyond that because not a lot of streamers stuck with it. So I think the advertising and the RAM requirements, the system requirements, sort of both contributed to that.
Rad. Thanks so much for that, Raccoon. Appreciate it,
Yeah,
man. Yeah, Arc
thanks for
placement and
inviting me up.
just general marketing around that time, and also the 6 GB RAM requirement. Got it. Cool. Appreciate it.
Yep, no problem.
All right. Up next, Gonka. And I have it up now where I can read chat as well, so I'm going to be taking some chat stuff too. We'll only spend a few minutes on each question so that we can get through all of them.
Can you hear me?
Hey. Yeah, what's up?
Yeah, hello. I believe the game's failure was due to some. I don't believe it was because the gameplay was bad. I think it was quite well developed. I think it's mostly rooted about having a bad start and investments, being in debt, and just generally running on life support for a long duration.
You said bad start. Do you mean during announce or Xbox launch or Steam launch time? Like, can you narrow that down a
Yeah,
little bit, please?
yeah, because from what I know, it got pressured into having like a console release, which pushed the developers to rush some things, which then when they couldn't do it, they they got cut from it, so they had to so they had the problem, so they lost the backup. Then they got like they started going left and right between different people, and then they happened to go on Arc, so they basically split the community even farther. So I think it's just like a chain reaction happened.
Definitely. Cool. Thanks for those notes. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, see ya, man.
Adios. All right, John Cena. What's up, John Cena?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. So my friend and I actually started playing this game when it was in beta a long time ago. But we've kind of talked about it a little bit, and we think that it may have had an issue, not necessarily competing with bigger games such as Overwatch, which came out around the same time. Companies like Blizzard that have more money towards marketing, and they've been a company for years and years and years, whereas Motiga, this is kind of their initial game that they were trying to work on. So I kind of wondered and maybe thought that maybe since it came out around the same time as Overwatch, since Overwatch came from a well-known developer, that people moved towards that instead of this new game.
Yeah, good point. I think deep-rooted competitors, like they released months and years before we did.
Yeah.
Cool. Thanks for the note. Appreciate it.
Yep.
All right, I think we'll take 2 more people on this one, and then we'll move to the next one. Next up is Malkiar.
Hey, SoFech, long time no see.
Hey, yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, I've been playing this game since probably 2014. It's been that long. The biggest issue, and we heard this spoken by Chris Chung himself when we were at one of the PAXs, was the force to Windows 10 upgrade. At the time, it was still not widely, I guess, supported or even known by just the world as a whole how well Windows 10 would perform. And at the time, it was performing terribly. And so it splintered the player base. I know for a fact that it also caused issues with the funding, trying to release Windows 10 and Xbox One at the same time like that. And then it led to the bevy of technical issues and the loss of the Microsoft deal, which I've heard stories cost over $2 million in funding. And just hard to recover from that. The Perfect World pickup was great, so the game could continue, but it never had the strength after that loss.
Excellent point. Thank you.
Yeah.
Cool. And last one for this question. I think here it's going to be Finor. I think we'll just keep everybody else in line. And I don't know. What do you guys think? Should we keep people in line? Because the questions are all pretty different. The next one is specifically about features. Should we keep people in line if they're already there? No? No? All right, smack them. We'll smack them. What's up, Finor?
What's up? So personally, I feel like one of the biggest problems of the game was that it was hard to tell what it wanted to be, because it had a primary game mode and nothing else, but even that was just so different from everything else that it felt like the game had a bit of an identity crisis or a direction crisis. So like, you never knew where it was going or what exactly you were trying to do with it.
Yeah, indeed.
And like, development and everything was just so strung out that like all the core ideas also got stretched, and it didn't have that solid core through its 4 or 5 years of development and kept going one way and the other. So it just never really came into its own solid idea and was instead a bunch of more loosely connected things, but it never had its own solid, firm, this is me identity.
Cool. Valid point. Thanks, pal.
No problem.
All right. So that wraps up the first question, which I think is the most broad. From here, it gets a little more targeted, more focused. So again, that question was, why do you think Gigantic failed? So I have my own reasons, but definitely the things that everybody brought up here is something that we internally have considered as well, and that I have in many, many decks. So I think it's okay if people want to, if somebody said something already and they want to join in again for the next round of questions, because everybody has a unique perspective on the game. But again, if you hear somebody say something, please just like dismiss yourself or just chill for a bit, or you can type it in chat. But I don't want people reiterating things just in the interest of time. So question number 2 is, what features do you think were missing from Gigantic? and that counts wholly over the entirety of Gigantic's lifespan, but also more specifically when we shut down the server. Well, technically we announced the shutdown in like January of 2018, but the servers didn't shut down until July. So let's just say January, right? The final build of the game. All right, first up is Zatori. Sven's feed is not a missing feature. Thanks, though. All right, Zatori dropped. Next up is Hell. Hell Plus.
There we go.
Hey.
Hello. Okay. So, the thing about Gigantic, I slightly disagree with the last point. I think the core game absolutely rules, right? I think the core game is really fun, regardless of maybe small balancing tweaks and things like that. But I do think that part of that desire of running along and sort of having that personality of going along with your sort of, gigantic sort of god creature with you, it fosters, I think, a sense of kind of almost like a desire for almost a bit of a metagame to it, where there's a bit more sort of want of, yes, I work for Aurelius and that kind of thing. I work for the owl, I work for the snake, and having a bit more of that overall personality, as well as just ways to maybe unlock things to be a little bit more in tune with that world. Because I think the core game rules, but I think outside of it there was definitely a lack of a sense of, I am part of this world and I want to go in for my god kind of thing. That's what I think of a feature.
Cool. Appreciate it, man. Thanks.
No problem. Yeah.
Oops, sorry to cut you off. I just want to keep moving. Next up is Demonic Sushis. What do you think are the missing features from Gigantic? Gigantic's as a whole, the game, what features were missing from the game?
Hello.
Yo.
Hey, well, I just think that a really big part was probably the issue with there being a lack of a ranked mode for a long time, because it kind of caused a lot of more experienced players to not have a proper outlet to actually be able to try for that kind of stuff, and try to kind of improve on that end. And then on the other side of that, having a more in-depth or kind of missing a more in-depth kind of tutorial for new players, because it kind of felt like the current that we have, you kind of we're kind of rushed through the very basics of the game. Then once you kind of go into it, a lot of those things just aren't really properly being conveyed in the way that they actually play in the order that they have, that they take place in when you're actually in a match. So
Interesting points. Thank you. Cool. I have a question about the onboarding experience a little bit too. Next up is Cosmic. What's up, Cosmic?
Hello. I have two quick things I think the game could have used. One feature was the ability to adjust creature loadouts before going into a game, like when you're loading into the map, because some creatures worked better on some maps than others. Sometimes you wouldn't really use a Drake on Sanctum Falls, at least not me personally, or an Obelisk, for example, which was very risky to have. And another feature I personally would have liked would have been anything that would have expanded on the story, like a PvE event. Those are always fun,
Yeah, great points. Thank you. Much appreciated.
Thank you.
Yeah, creature loadouts are something we definitely talked about a lot. So yeah, appreciate you coming through with that. And then also PvE events. All right. Shammy, next up. What do you think are missing features from Gigantic?
Hi there.
Hey.
I think a big one for me in particular was the lack of the ability to have a custom server browser or just a private server browser, and everything being done through matchmaking.
you mean something different from custom matches? You
Yeah,
mean
yeah,
something
yeah.
that's,
Like an actual like
peer-to-peer?
peer-to-peer. Yeah, that's more what I'm talking about. Yes, like a peer-to-peer server browser kind of thing.
Cool.
That's pretty much it.
Awesome. Thanks for the feedback, man.
All right. Cheers.
All right, and last up for this one is Sarsi. Again, missing features. And I'm still reading chat here too. I'm taking a lot of stuff you guys are putting in chat. Oh, what's up, Sarsi?
Yo, what's up? Okay, first of all, let me say thank you, SoFech, for being an amazing advocate for this game and still looking out for the game that we all love. Second of all, my suggestion would be, as someone who is kind of really into the competitive scene, something that I really missed when I was organizing tournaments and trying to do streams is a comprehensive spectator mode. It was nearly impossible to reliably show matches between two teams because you would have to have a streamer on that team and you would only be able to watch their perspective from then on out. So a comprehensive spectator mode would have made the actual competitive sport of Gigantic, that I think a large amount of the community was actually into, would have made it a lot more enjoyable to watch and I think a lot more attractive.
Awesome. Great point. Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Yeah, for sure. And I see people mentioning replays as well. Cool. Good stuff. All right, this is going to go well over an hour, but that's okay. I'm in it for the long haul. So next question. This is more of a leading question, but I still want to ask it because I want to know, honestly, what all of you think. So what was wrong with combat in Gigantic? What was wrong with it? We know what's right. What do you think was wrong with it? And as I'm inviting people in, again, thanks. Shout outs to all of you guys. You're great for coming out. There's so many people here. Really appreciate this. All right. Unoven. Uno Viven. I see a lot of people in chat saying the Guardians just weren't that effective at being a tower or a defensive position. In general, just creatures didn't feel defensive enough. Oh, what's up?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
No, I was not used to this kind of thing. Hold on. Can you please repeat the question? I kind of lost my thread. For
Oh
a
yeah,
second.
for sure. It was what's wrong with Gigantic? What's wrong with the combat in Gigantic? Yeah.
Right. So a big thing that was on one hand both awesome but also kind of not so much was like small interactions that were very not obvious and that you had to either read up from other people who knew them or like just see in a match that actually made up a big part of a character's power, right? There were like weird interaction with, I think it was Taito's jump and either his whirl or something else that let you just zoom across the map. Wu was a big one. Wu had like a lot of interactions like that. And the problem with them was both that they were not obvious, so like new players could not really get into them, but they were also really inconsistent at times. Like there were a lot of things with Wu where you just flew off in a random direction or the enemy just kind of stopped halfway or like, all kinds of weird things like that. So I would have liked the general like how would I put it? Equalization or not because to make these kind of things more consistent and to have like special mobility things that work for every character and are specifically told you somewhere, if you get what I mean. Like how in I think it's Tekken there's Korean backdash, right? Which originally was not an intended feature, but at this point it's such a staple of it that because it's a really fun thing to do that it's more or less official. So something like that.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Yeah, Korean backdash
Thank you.
example, yeah, is a great parallel to some of the things in Gigantic. So yeah, appreciate
Well,
that.
like Korean backdash or Riven's animation cancels in League, or I think Guns had something like that, so I don't remember what it was called. Like there were a lot of weird like little texts that make the games awesome, but they're also not so fun if you don't get how to do them because it's never told to you.
Definitely. Hey,
That's
thanks.
that.
Appreciate it. Cool. Bringing in Sakura. So while Sakura is connecting, on a quick note, since I saw a lot of people mentioning Woo, a little bit of trivia is Woo almost didn't make it into the launch version of the game because he was so buggy. All right, what's up, Sakura?
Hey, what's up? So kind of piggybacking off of what the other guy said, I think one of the biggest things I saw with it, the combat was melee characters getting the jump attacks whenever you hit people from behind would slow the other person down to an excruciating amount, and basically they couldn't do anything to escape unless they had their escape ability open. And the fact that that was such a powerful move that was never told to the player, I had to learn it from watching a streamer play. And that ranged attackers had nothing to compare to it, basically. And along with that, it was the way that the game was so marketed for having the Guardians as this giant controllable force that fights alongside with you, but they were basically just ended up becoming, oh, don't get near me until it's time to actually attack me, or else I'm going to one-shot you and kill you instantly type of thing. They didn't really feel like a force that fought alongside you. They fought more of just like a barrier of where to go and where not to go. That kind of made them not feel like they were marketed as.
Got it. Thanks a lot. Really appreciate it.
No problem.
Cool. Next up will be Smash Guy. And while I'm pulling Smash Guy in, I wanted to ask everybody in chat. So on the topic of jump attacks, do you think the jump attack mechanic was bad, or do you think that the issue there was that it wasn't introduced to players? What's up, Smash Guy?
Hey, I appreciate you doing this first and foremost. I want to take this in a bit of a different direction because I may not be the most experienced in terms of like what's wrong with specific gameplay things, but one thing I noticed is I feel like there are definitely some cases where a lot of the ragdolls upon death would just become really distracting. Especially like as you want to tie into characters such as Woo or Trip that are very mobile. So sometimes you'd look at a ragdoll and you would think it's somebody coming at you. Um, I'm not sure if that's a game engine specific thing or something that could have been adjusted, but it's one thing I did notice when I was playing it.
All right, good point. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So not only ragdoll, I'm also going to take out of that the visuals could be a little confusing because I understand kind of the sentiment there where you're in a match and something's like flying at you and you can't tell if it's Woo jumping at you or if it's a corpse flying at your face. Next up is Figments. Visual clutter, yes.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, what's up?
Sorry if my if my audio quality is bad. I'm on my phone right now. So
okay.
There were two things that I kind of noticed a lot when playing. The first one's kind of minor. It piggybacks a lot off the what the first couple people said. Initiators like Trip, I don't know, the names are Woo. The owl guy. I don't know why his name is escaping me.
Taito?
Yeah, Taito. The initiators all had way too much leverage whenever entering an engagement, especially and even against like the tank characters. It was almost too trivial to be able to initiate an attack and immediately bail out when things turned south. There wasn't really much in the way of being stopped, especially once you understood the tech and how to utilize it. It just became kind of a cat and mouse game most times. And the other thing was I don't know if this is a common experience, but it happened to me on multiple occasions playing the game. Breaking stalemates was borderline. I wouldn't say impossible, but as an example, there was a game that me and my friends played where two people disconnected halfway through, and so a team of 3 against a full team of 5 spent an hour and a half playing one match, trying to overcome each other and whatever. And it kept going into stalemates so often that the game just dragged and dragged and dragged, and there was nothing to stop the game from continuing until at some point the enemy team just had to leave. And not having an ability to counteract stalemates like that was something that came up not often, but frequently enough that it made those matches more frustrating than fun. Because if you were getting cornered by an exceptionally decent team, then you had no way to actually be able to break against that. There was no chance to really come back. It made it difficult to actually proceed with the rest of the match.
Cool. Thanks for the feedback. Really appreciate it. All right, we'll do one more for the combat topic. Let's see, Zofia Marie. And so as I'm going through this, I'm writing extensive notes. I'm constantly typing notes. So sorry if I go quiet for a bit.
So hey,
hey.
First of all, I just want to say thank you for doing this, and that I've kind of been following this game since the back in the days when we were on Gamebox. So I've been around, all the way through live, and I've played it now on the private server. So I have a fair bit of insight towards a lot of things. A big thing for me that I find kind of annoying, playing it back then and even now, is that CC chaining is a really big problem. So, because you can just get stun locked forever by a lot of combos. So there's literally no counterplay to that, and that's not really fun.
All right, CC chaining. Cool. Thanks for the feedback.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Let's actually take one more. Let's take Fenor, and then we're going to knock everybody else out. Then we'll move on to the next one.
Right, so honestly, one of the biggest things I saw is that there's 8 types of CC, and the game doesn't really tell you what any of them do. Because stun, daze, Sven transform, immobilizes, slows, cripples. The game didn't really properly explain what each of these different types of CC did. And some of them were only on 1 or 2 characters, so then you'd get surprised. It's stun, you can't move. Daze is like stun, but you can move. You have an interrupt, which is kind of like a very short stun, and it just wasn't really explained what each of these did. And I've seen a bunch of people get confused by what is going on, because it's hard to tell what's going on. Everything's going on at once, and you've hit with an interrupt, a daze, and a stun all at the same time, and they all have different durations, and everything's just interacting weirdly, and it gets very hectic and hard for people to understand, which drove off a lot of people.
All right, excellent points. Thank you very much. Yeah, actually, on the topic of CCs, that was one of the first videos I ever made for this game before I was a game dev. And yeah, it sounds like half of the problem with combat that people mentioned were issues like tutorialization, onboarding, new players just not understanding advanced mechanics. So thanks everybody for that. Much appreciated. Oh, generic guy, I beat it, man. 100%. I got all the achievements. All right, next up. So this is kind of poetic. The next question I had on the list was the onboarding experience. So the onboarding experience, just in general, what do you think of it? What do you think of? So maybe you guys don't remember, but when you go to launch the game the first time, what happens is you have to go through the tutorial, which is like a 4-part, I think. And there's cutscenes, and it has you learning the power race, and you get to play Beckett Charnock or some other melee character. I forgot who, Gnosis, I think. And you would go through learning how to summon, learning what guardians do, and then it would kick you out and force you to do bot matches until you were level 2. So if you won your bot match, then you would be able to play with real players. And if you lost it, or if you disconnected, or if your team just didn't score enough, then I think you would not reach level 2 and you would have to play another bot match. So that's essentially the onboarding experience that was present in the game, but also not just that, but everything. Like we've talked about a lot of that stuff in the combat section. Like there wasn't a good onboarding for CC visuals and introductory mechanics and other things like more advanced mechanics for some characters and things like that. So yeah, anything to do with the onboarding experience. Hopefully we can jam through this one pretty quick because that's a pretty narrow topic. So first up is Ocean Knight. Yeah, there were bot matches. You were forced to do them when we launched on Steam. While Ocean Knight is accepting and connecting, I think the tutorial was in 4 parts. I remember we had a really cool video for it that one of our video designers put together, and I think that's still on our channel too. If you go search Go Gigantic on YouTube, it's still there. I think it's called Power Race maybe, but yeah, it's got Laren and some other Orion type characters all talking to you. It's narrated. It's really cool, and then there's some other cutscenes like that. So Ocean Knight, what's up?
So I feel that the moment-to-moment roles and gameplay styles of the characters were rather badly explained. For example, Paco, I don't remember what the word used to refer to him in the character select is, but he's big and slows people down, and so I think most players would say, oh, he's a tank. Yeah, Floof, Bruiser. I think they would potentially say, oh, he's a tank, but he's not necessarily a tank, and so they try to play him like that and get alienated because they can't figure out why he's not playing like they were told he's playing. And
Okay, really good point. And for you, Ocean Knight, and for everybody else in chat, do you think that was an issue specifically? Well, okay, actually, let's say more broadly, not just for Paco, but for all the characters in the game. Do you think that it was an issue with the roles, or do you think it was an issue with the character's kit being assigned to the role? Were the roles the confusing part, or maybe were some characters misplaced, or something else? What do you think, Ocean Knight?
I didn't have a follow-up, sorry. I think
Oh,
we should
that's okay.
focus on the chat.
Oh, okay, that's cool then. Well, yeah, thanks. Really interesting question, or answer to the question. Thank you. Next up is Annie K.
All right. So one of the things that after I played through the tutorial that was thrust upon me almost immediately is there are a lot of finer points to Gigantic's power game, and those things need to be understood once you've come into the community that's more veteran. So things like knowing that you can push on a creature to stop it from collecting, and when you might want to do that, are very important points. And I think that part of the onboarding would be good as like maybe not a necessity for the first time you've opened the game, but for there to be a second section on some more nuanced points, especially surrounding the power game.
Cool, really good points. Thank you. Next up is Tranquil Winds.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, what's up?
In my opinion, from what I loosely remember, since I haven't really touched this game for a while, I've only recently joined this Discord because I was really interested in it, and I had like a certain sudden resurgence of Gigantic. From what I remember, me opening the game, it was cool because first, I think it was free. It was definitely free. It seemed free. So when I loaded it up, it was like you see it in the store, and you're like, oh, let's download it and see what's going on. When I looked at it, it was beautiful. The art was great. The only few issues I had was with the typing. It was really confusing with some of them. I can't really bring any to mind. I just remember having a lot of trouble with understanding how the characters worked. But most of it was great, though. Yeah, the only downside would be of the typing, and from what I remember, I don't think it covered a lot of the finer details of it. Definitely, it was a lot more broad, basic, and it's either I don't know if there was another section for it, for reading up on it, because I do remember if it was this, I do remember like status effect menu where you could see all of it, and that was off to the side. I had to look for that myself, and that was kind of confusing when I went to a match and knew nothing about whatever status effect was being applied to me. So that's really all that's my 2 cents about it.
All right, good points. Thank you very much. Next up is Spot On. Spotin? Spot On.
Oh, hello.
Hey.
All right. So, my experience with Gigantic when I first opened it up, back when it was running through Arc, because I had gotten into the close beta, but that's not the point. The thing that I had noticed was I had been pulled into the game because of its visuals, its animations, all the cool character designs, and playing through a tutorial was kind of fun, but I felt like I wasn't really being told anything really. It was just the basic gameplay loop without much explanation. Then I went to picking characters, right? Throughout most of the game's lifespan, I have stuck with Mozu because, well, it didn't really make sense to me because of the typing. I've always been the more sort of melee focused characters and whatnot, right? But it was kind of strange because, well, Mozu, right, was described as a caster, but Mozu doesn't really do a lot of casting. Most Mozu uses a teleport to get out and their deflect to just completely nullify most ranged things against them. So I don't know why they were the way they were described as a caster. Then there is who's the dragon with the
Charnock.
Who's a Charnock? Yeah. Charnock was described as a caster, right? And it actually made sense for him because he probably does the most sort of standard mage type abilities in the game, right? You got your big AoE, you got your slow auto attacks, right? And then whatever. You get the point, okay? Plus you got your little rocket jump to take you to safety. But it made sense for him to be categorized as a caster. With someone like Ramsey, right? Ramsey and Wu, right? They are both described as fighters. But in actuality, when you go into here, they are just straight up assassins. But Wu kind of also isn't really an assassin, but also kind of is. And what I mean by that is Wu is more like someone who catches people out. He can go and do his assassin stuff, but what people want you to do sometimes is they want you to look for their grab their carry with the best ability in the game is tongue, right? And that alone, right, is sort of what kind of confuses me a bit because all the fighters are actually just assassins. All the assassins are properly labeled. And then everyone that is labeled as a caster is basically just another flavor of ranged DPS. And I didn't really get what was up with the one character that was described as an actual bruiser, but it felt more like the game wanted you to play on a sort of tank, but you had a lot more damage. And then of course our good old fluffy boy, who I keep forgetting the name of because I don't remember names for
Paco?
some reason. Yeah, Paco.
Yeah.
going back to what someone else said, where like it seemed like the game wanted you to play him as a tank, but then it just didn't work. It was just like kind of weird because isn't his typing described as like a controller or something? Is that it? I forget. But if that typing could be like more concrete and simplified to a point where like, okay, does his character do a lot of, shooting at people? Okay, they're just range DPS. Okay. Is this a melee character, and do they have tools that allow them to survive in the middle of like a fight so they can like, be in the front line? Okay, then that is a tank, or like I guess you could use the term bruiser if you're trying to put them more towards an aggressive playstyle versus like a stand back and stand in front then peel for your carries type character. Then that's when you would do that. But the things of like calling them like fighters and whatever just kind of made it awkward because, well, when Ramsey went into the game, what did Ramsey do? He did whatever he wanted while diving the entire back line and soloing all the goddamn camps.
Okay, cool. I think I got it. Hey,
Yeah, my
thanks. No, it's all good. Much appreciated. Thank you.
hmm
So let's bring in one more person. The last one will be Etchy. So this is a question for everybody in chat. It seems like a lot of people, this is on onboarding, and a lot of people are saying that the character roles were confusing or individual responsibility was confusing. So everybody in chat, what do you think was the reason for that? Could it have been because the characters were so flexible, or is it because the characters weren't placed in their roles properly? Were the roles not defined rigidly enough? What do you think were the reasons that people are new players specifically are finding the roles to be confusing and also not really understanding their individual responsibility? Yeah, Etchy, you're in. It doesn't look like you've connected yet. Yeah, sorry, I don't know what this looks like. I haven't done this before. Someone's saying that there's an accept button at the top. Oh, it looks like you canceled it. So here, I'll shoot you another invite.
Okay, that's my bad. Hello, Gigantic. And first off, SoFech, thank you, dog. Thank you. Like, this is, it means a lot to me and to some of my friends who we're lucky enough. I was fortunate enough to be able to play this game. That's kind of the way I put it. Personally, for those two questions, I can sort of combine them. The complexity behind the game, I don't think it necessarily should be something everyone understands right away, because there's a lot. There's like micro character interactions, macro when to push objectives and stuff like that, and that's just something that takes time to learn. You'll go into diamond games in League, and people still don't know like basic, like you kill the jungler, you're up 5v3, just do Baron. There's certain things that just people will actually never get because, I don't know, there's a certain skill to it. But then there's also the fact that there just wasn't enough time. There wasn't enough time to really watch as much content to really explore. Well, while the game was live, of course, the servers are up now, but me personally, I've never like run the private servers, because there's that barrier to entry, which you could say to an extent the original game had too, because it was a bit more tedious when you had to go through Steam, to go through Arc, to go through Windows 10 to play the game. But yeah, I definitely think for a lot of those character interactions, gameplay, the way characters play, the way characters build, like that's not something you people should get in maybe like a month. People still don't know, and these things change with meta. So of course, like that's not. I still don't know if cleanse works on Mordekaiser's ult, and I've been playing League for. I still don't know if that works. Do I have to buy QSS? Like these aren't interactions that everyone should necessarily get right away. And in terms of like character balance, of course, in a way, everyone was bad at the game because no one really got to play the game for too long. So just like how League, there's a certain like this character is just broken because like Master Yi, there's a certain like everyone needs to know to CC this guy and he's not broken anymore. But like that like base knowledge isn't yet in the public because one, the public is so small. Two, the content is, dude, I'm so sorry I didn't make content for this game because like I would see on the Gigantic official channel you and the team making content like and there's like a certain, you don't know, how do I put this? I have to tell my friends. I imagine this must be even more painful for you, so I won't get to. But I have to tell my friends, dude, you would have loved this game. And that hurts. Because I loved it and still do. But I don't know. With the meta and complex interactions, those aren't necessarily things that you should baby macro. There should just be like a community teaching each other that, but that community never really got to build itself with the time it had, and just like the general perception of the game at time. Because why are you gonna there's a certain Overwatch it's Overwatch, and this is when Overwatch was prime Overwatch. Nowadays Overwatch is cringe. No one, I don't know anyone personally. Everyone I know who used to play Overwatch doesn't play Overwatch anymore. But like back then when Gigantic was like bopping, Overwatch was like prime. Like I loved Overwatch then. That was like my favorite era of Overwatch. So even though I loved Gigantic, there's a certain like you're trying to convince people to play Gigantic, and it's a very difficult process because Overwatch was just so big at the time and also really fun. So there's a certain timing to these things that always can go wrong. Yes, and yeah, I'll just finish up. Dude, thank you so much. I hope that the game or servers could be back up one day. Because I think, especially now, my general opinion and general what I seem to see with Overwatch 2 is everyone just saying it's the same game. But that's what people wanted. They want a new game, essentially. And I think Gigantic, if it came back, could maybe fill that desire, or at least could try to. I miss it, man. Thanks so much for having me and for coming here today.
Yeah, your comments are certainly welcome. Thank you. All right, cool. I think we got a lot of good stuff there about the onboarding. So it sounds like just in general, for both the combat topic and the onboarding, there just wasn't enough, like the game didn't have time to develop the intrinsic knowledge that a long-standing game has, where players are easily able to share information. And also all the other things that were discussed. That one specifically, I think, was the root of a lot of the issues you guys had. So the next two questions, let's hope we can jam through these really quick. The next one is about bots. So if you have a lot of experience with bots, go ahead and request to speak. I'll only take like one or two people for this one. And the one after that is like accessibility tweaks. So if you're hard of hearing or colorblind or something, that'll be the next one. So yeah, let's just get through these two really quick and then we'll get right back to the cool stuff. All right, Cosmic. Something about bots. So yes, there were bot matches, and you were forced to play against bots in the beginning during the tutorialization of the game, and then you could choose to play against bots. So, hey, Cosmic.
Hey, oh man, I played a lot of bots with friends because I had some friends who just would not touch PvP. And one issue was the only map was Ghost Reef. Like, if you were new to the game and you wanted to get your first experience playing bots, which wasn't a good experience, you would only know Ghost Reef. It wouldn't prepare you for any of the other maps like Sanctum Falls, where we all know Sanctum Falls with its early Clash confusion, where a lot of people would end up drowning in the old map because they didn't know to move to the Clash map. And then there's also just the only bots were Xeno, Mozu, Margrave, Charnock, and there's one more I'm forgetting right now. Trip. Those were the only bots, and they weren't good. They would just non-stop chase you. They would chase you under the Guardian. They would just follow you all around the map. And it's just kind of not a good experience. It was just kind of, if you wanted to do, no, I don't remember if you could do fortune cards in bots. Like, I guess that, if you, it's been so long. If you could have done fortune cards in bots, I think that would have been like a nice feature if it wasn't already implemented. But a lot of it just, the bot matches kind of just overall felt incomplete in terms of bot AI, the fact you can only use one map, and then just like, I don't remember if you could do fortune cards. Like, I know you couldn't do badges, which made perfect sense because you need to earn those badges. You don't want a easy pentakill badge in bots, you know?
Yep, great points. All right, cool.
You could do most but not all fortune cards in bot matches. Yeah, that was, yeah. All right, thank you for having me again.
Yeah, thank you very much. These two, so I'm going to invite Super Sabir next, and then we'll move on to the next one. So this is just about bots, and the next one will be about accessibility. And so by accessibility, that means people who need something extra from the game, like hard of hearing, colorblind, things like that. But this one specifically is about bots, and then we'll move on after this. And yeah, I'm still reading everything you guys are saying in chat, and I'm taking a lot of stuff from chat and putting into this doc.
Yeah, I actually thought we were talking about accessibility right now.
Okay,
So,
all right. Nobody else has anything
well,
about bots. Let's move on to accessibility. So yeah, take the floor, and then
I
anyone
mean,
who wants to talk about accessibility, you can go ahead and request to speak.
I felt it was kind of sometimes hard to, when it comes to communication during games. Like the text chat was basically your primary way. I mean, yeah, also had your pings obviously, but like the text chat was basically kind of like invisible until someone pinged or put something in. But I mean, aside from pinging, it wasn't maybe clear if you could like type something in, and also the transparency kind of made it hard to maybe read some stuff. So like I felt that was kind of annoying.
All right, definitely. Hey, thanks a lot.
Yeah.
Next up is Spot On. This will be the last one for accessibility, and then we'll get back into the meaty questions.
All right, so accessibility. I think the amount of options that the game had at launch was like, but the controls count as accessibility. Probably not. But like, I think the amount of options that the game had at launch didn't really help out with certain things. I know I'm pretty sure there was a color blindness option. But for deaf people, I'm not sure how the game would approach it because other games have approached it, such as like Fortnite, by just straight up giving you a radial ESP. Sure, it didn't tell them whether they were above or below, but you knew that they were in that direction all the time. And that one I felt was like very heavy-handed because it wasn't just accessibility anymore. It was just everyone turned this option on. Um, there could be some additions like helping out with reducing people who are like, photosensitive with like seizures and whatnot, because I feel like some effects would be a bit too flashy and cause something like that. And probably something to help with motion sickness as well. That could also be something that gets added if this ever happens. I'm not sure. I wasn't there at the beginning, so I wouldn't really know much. But yeah, that's generally the bullet points I have for accessibility.
Right on. Much appreciated.
I am just control options, really.
Cool. Thanks.
Mhm.
So that wraps it up for bots and accessibility. All right. We are over an hour, but I still have 4 questions. So, I mean, if you guys want to chill with me, then I'm going to keep asking questions. Sincerely appreciate everybody coming out tonight. This is great. All right. Get your fingers on that request to speak button. So, this question, just in general, all right, this has nothing to do with Perfect World. This has nothing to do with Motiga. This is just for my personal reference as a community manager in the video game industry. What do you guys think about the pricing structure for Gigantic? It was free to play. There was an ultimate pack that unlocked all of the all the heroes, and it gave you some premium currency. Then you have a soft currency, which is like gold, and then you have a hard currency, which was the rubies, which was premium. You could buy exclusive skins and things like that. So yeah, the pricing structure and just general MTX stuff. And we'll get through this one pretty quick too. So yeah, if you have comments about this, just kind of rifle off what you feel about that, and then we'll get on to the next couple questions. So first up is Gedster.
Hey, how you doing?
Yo.
All right, so main thing in my opinion about the monetization was that it was almost perfect because I think the game was like I specifically remember seeing like footage from one of the devs at Motiga saying that they always wanted it to be a fully free to play experience, and I think a lot of people appreciated that. And honestly, in the years after Gigantic, a lot of games that blew up big time were free to play games, and part of the reason that they did blow up was because of that. The problem was that there wasn't enough monetization outside of that. I think there needed to be a little bit more. It needed to be harder to earn skins. Straight up, I think that you got gold a little bit too quickly for you to ever justify there being rubies, and well, to ever justify buying rubies. Sorry, my bad. I'm a little nervous, but that's the main thing for me.
Cool. Good points. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Next up is Turtle Duck Man.
Hello?
Hey, buddy.
Hey, it's good to see you again. All right, so I have an interesting bit to Getster's thing because so I said in chat, I think that Gigantic's monetization style that's like what I go to when I'm explaining. Hi Ryan. When I'm explaining what a good free to play monetization model looks like to people of like free to play. So because like you basically give them the option, like if you're looking at it like our options are make the game totally free, which is not feasible because then we can't pay our developers, or we can make it cost money upfront to buy, like Overwatch does. And when you do that, then that's great, but sometimes you alienate some people who are like, I don't know if I really want to spend $30 on it. But when you do it like Gigantic does, where like the way Gigantic had the premium pack is it basically said you can either play it for free or you can buy the game. And so it was kind of like on itch.io, how you like can just they have things where it's like pay what you want, and so that's kind of what this monetization model gives you, is just like you can either have it or you can either just like pay up front and buy it or play for free and like earn your way up to things. The only criticisms I have or I had was that, which is kind of the opposite of Gedster, is I thought that it was a little too slow to earn currency, specifically to like unlock characters, because what happened is that like you would have to play for a really long time to unlock a character, and then maybe you end up not actually liking that character as much as you thought you did. And like the random rotation was super awesome. One thing, I don't remember if they ever fixed that, but I think there was a thing where the random rotation could still hit players, characters you had, which is crummy. But in hindsight, I guess that would mean that you would basically just not have to unlock the last 5 characters if it never hit the characters that you didn't have. But like, I think that the paradigm of having free to play with a currency that you earn to unlock characters and like a weekly rotation of characters is good. I think that maybe having like the rotation of characters, because I don't remember if it was random or not. Was it random, or was there like?
I believe it was random.
Yeah. So maybe having that be more like, oh, there's 6 characters available every week, 2 melee characters, 2 ranged characters, 2 support characters, because I can definitely see somebody coming in to play the game for free, playing all 5 characters that are available to them randomly and hating all of them and uninstalling the game. Which is like a risk that you run when you have that kind of monetization system. And I think it's like a cost benefit analysis of like if you make the game like pay to play and then you just have all the characters unlocked, that doesn't have that problem, but then you might lose out on the people who don't want to pay any money. But then there's also the thought process of like, there is a kind of sunk cost marketing almost, which is a terrible way to say it. But like, if you buy a game, I feel like you're more likely to continue playing it, maybe to get over that first hump of like learning how the game works, just because you're like, I've already paid $30. I don't want to just like throw the game away. But if you're just like download a game for free, play the first 2 matches and hate it, then you just uninstall. So basically, I personally really liked the choice of free to play with earning things, and then once you feel like you like the game enough, you can just buy it for $30, totally fair price. And it's a lot easier to like get people initially to play, especially if they don't play MOBAs. But there is merit to just having it be like a game that you buy, kind of like Overwatch, because then you're more likely to keep the players who do end up buying it for the long term. I think free to play games probably, I don't have any data to back this up, so take this with a grain of salt, but I feel like they probably have a higher turnover rate of like people installing it and then uninstalling it, whereas the games like Overwatch, who just cost money out of the gate, don't. I will say that if the game costs money out of the gate, I do not like seeing in-app purchases in those games. I don't want to buy a game and then also still have the game be asking me for money. I know that can be important for like operating costs, and I don't know like the logistics of how much it costs to maintain a game like that. But that kind of stuff is always just like obnoxious for me to see. So I really liked Gigantic's monetization system as it was. I would have maybe made it slightly easier to get heroes, and also made the random selection every week more tuned to giving you a broad variety. But I can see an argument for having it just cost $30 up front, and that just being the only option. Was it $40? Oh, okay, never mind. Still worth it.
Rad. Yeah, see what On Her put here in chat. But yeah, thanks so much for the comprehensive breakdown. I really appreciate it.
No problem. It's good to be here.
Yeah. All right, take it easy. All right, next up is Spot On. Oh, wait. Did I cancel that, or did he leave? Oops. I may have canceled that. Sorry, dude. All right, next up is Sephiron. Yeah, sorry, Spot On. I don't know if I canceled that or if you dipped. My bad. I may have misclicked. Okay, you're at the bottom. I'll get you in next.
Hello?
Sephiron, hey.
Hello. Hi. Yet again, thank you for inviting us here to just talk about the game. Most of the points that people have already explained is kind of the problem I had with this pricing structure. It was very cheap. You get the Founders Pack, you get all the characters, you get like the next 4, and then after that you're kind of just there for skins. But it was like, since the game was too early on, it wasn't like there was a lot of skins after that. So it was kind of like you pay for these characters, and then you're kind of getting ready to pay for skins that would come for like later on. But eventually, obviously, the game shut down, so it's like you didn't even have the chance to build up a repertoire of skins for people to want to buy. So I think it mostly did play back into the time not being like there not being enough time for the game to really thrive on the time that it had. Because I think that if more skins had come out and there were more people that wanted skins, and they see people in game with skins and they're like, oh, I want that skin, then it also would have been better because people would have wanted to buy skins from there on out. And that's all I think at that point.
All right, excellent points. Thank you very much. Okay, next up, we'll get Spot on here. All right, Spot on. You've been on a couple times, so thanks for being so vocal. Really appreciate you being here, man. If you
Yeah.
wouldn't, just rifle through this real quick, just so we can let other people speak too.
All right, so I'm gonna try and be quick about it, but I wasn't really. I had a whole thing lined up. Basically, I didn't think the monetization was actually that good. The ultimate, I believe the ultimate pack. I don't know how much it was priced, so I can't really say how much value it would have been. But basically, it didn't really have any chunk in there because, like, when someone buys an ultimate pack, they're like expecting like exclusive stuff that they can get. What is it like? These cool little special skins that only you have because you bought the ultimate pack, right? And it didn't have any of that, or at least it didn't feel like it because, well, I didn't remember any of it because it wasn't really that noble. It's just like some crystal swords and stuff, and some other characters didn't even really get it yet because there was going to be added later, probably. Because I don't remember much about the monetization. All I remember is that there wasn't a lot of skins at launch. Because I remember getting into this game and being like, oh man, I wanna make my Woo look different from this Woo, but the only way I could do that was because was by picking a different color. And it just wasn't really much to it. I couldn't pick a different model, I couldn't pick a different anything. It was just, oh, this thing here and this thing there. So like I feel like if the game was maybe it probably wasn't an option at that point, but like if the game was maybe slowed down a bit more, right? Maybe some more skins could have been rolled out alongside the release because like I'm gonna bring up League of Legends and like
I
it's
want to let some
really
other
really
people hop on here too. So
Oh.
yeah, I think I understand what you're saying.
Yeah,
One,
but
it sounds like the monetization wasn't marketed very well because you don't even know what was in the packs you were purchasing, and there wasn't anything cool for you to buy, or
Yeah, there
nothing
wasn't.
you thought was cool enough to invest money in.
Yeah, there wasn't like a lot of selection, so like that's really it.
Yeah, thanks for hopping on again, man. All right, next up is Ari. We'll just do 2 more. So Ari and then 1 more after that. So I'm going to kick everybody else out. Sorry. And we'll move on to the next one. What's up, Ari?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry. Just it's 5 in the morning. I didn't have. I thought the monetization was like pretty good. Like the only bad thing I remember is that unlocking character was like a bit much. Like a bit too. It took way too long. Also, I feel like there wasn't like enough things to spend your money on. Like when looking in games, like you can like I don't know buy cute emotes, cute like I don't know sprays. I know it's like it's not for everyone, but like for me, I like even like buying little emotes that like show a lot of like character and a lot of Was there emotes? I don't think there was.
No, they were not.
Yeah, like emotes that like show a lot of the character. That's like the main thing I look for when I want to spend my money. I want to like things that like will make me feel like really satisfied. Like, sure, like I can look nice, but like I want, I want like things that make me feel happy and satisfied at the end of the day. And I
Sounds
think
like a
that's
common theme. There just wasn't enough things to buy.
yeah. Like there was skins. Skins were nice, but I feel like there could be just more things you could buy. Like everything. Like it's just like you could give more options, and I think that like the animation team did a great job in the game, and like they showed a lot of character, and like I think they could like the animation team could be used for like emotes as well.
All right, cool.
Thank you.
Hope you get some sleep. Thanks for stopping by.
Yeah, I will. Thank you.
All right, last up is Blue.
Hey.
Yo.
I just wanted to say that for me personally, the Ultimate Pack was a fantastic thing to have on the game because it allowed me to give the game a shot for free for maybe 2 free character rotations and then decide, you know what, I do want to spend money on this game. And sort of, just get all the characters up front. I thought that was a fantastic addition. The only other thing, particularly on monetization, would be I do wish that customization was maybe just a little bit more modular, sort of in the same way that Dota 2 handles cosmetics. I do understand that tacks on like a lot of difficulties and stuff like that, but somebody mentioned before that it's a little hard to make your character in particular stand out in Gigantic, and I feel like that might have aided in that. I also personally would have liked seeing maybe a few more unlock specific cosmetics because I was blown away every time whenever I first started playing the game and I saw people with the like divine weapons or whatever they were precisely called that you could only have by leveling up a character to like 10 or whatever it was. I think that's just about all I've got for that.
Awesome. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
All right, cool. So I have 2 more primary topics I want to ask you guys. Again, thanks so much for being here. This is great. It's fun to chat with you guys and hear you reminisce about the game and hear all the things that you used to love about it, and especially for me, hear all the things that maybe the game didn't meet in your eyes as a standard of quality for the time it released. So the next, we'll go over the next 2, and then the final one, I just kind of want to open it up to the floor. So hopefully we can jam through these other ones, and we can give everybody who wants to speak a chance at the end. So for these next 2, again, if somebody has already said the thing that you wanted to say, it's okay to just like hop out and type it into the chat channel. I'm reading chat while people are speaking. So just in the interest of time, I want to get things moving. So the next one is about cross-platform play. So if you have any comments about cross-platform, so the way that it worked is initially we launched Gigantic, like the actual launch of Gigantic was, I think it was in December of 2016. December of 2016. We launched on Ecbook and Windows 10. And then the following summer of 2017, we launched on Arc in June and then Steam in July. So Win 10 and Ecbook were able to play together, and Steam and Arc were able to play together. So just general comments, whatever you want to say about how the cross-platform worked for Gigantic. All right, first up is Pete the Fish.
Let's go. Hello.
Hey.
So I played on Xbox from the get-go and never was able to do any cross-platform because I didn't have any PC friends that played the game. I think that just having it start out for everyone can play with every single platform, if like set it up as willingness to, I think would be the best option, because then your player base gains more players to it because more people are going to play with each other.
Cool, definitely. Hey, thanks a lot. Next up is Annika. Cute cat.
Thanks. After my Discord Nitro ran out, I chose him because he was a cute static image. Anyway, when it comes to crossplay platform, really what it comes down to is I like it as an option, but if there's ever any discussion of competitive integrity in games, I feel like ranked ladders and such, that it's better to separate them for those cues. That's my comment.
All right, great feedback. Thank you. Next up, Hito Mashu.
Hey, can you guys hear me?
Hey.
Hey, so thanks for this, SoFech. So just to be really quick, I originally played Gigantic through Xbox and then eventually transitioned over to Windows 10 PC to play it there. I was initially very disappointed that Gigantic did not have full crossplay because at that time it was something that was a little bit unheard of. And I was really hoping that all of the communities could jive all into one big bubble in order to be able to support the game. And I think it was one of the leading footsteps to the end of the depth of the game. So if there ever is any other type of iteration of this game, I think full crossplay would absolutely be the way to go. And just like the gentleman before me said, ranked play would need to have that be looked at and be tuned specifically for that, because that would help keep that competitive integrity in tune. And that's all I got.
Cool. Thanks a lot. Next up is Chaotic.
Hello?
Hey.
First off, I'd like to say my partner and I, we play on different platforms. He plays on Xbox, I play on PC. This was what initially drew us to the game. Being able to play together has been a huge aspect of me, and I know a lot of other people. They like to build a community together, and I think that really drew a lot of people into the game. But the issue of dividing the community with being crossplay between two separate instances, say Arc and Steam and Windows and Xbox, maybe not was great. I think that doesn't really help build a inclusive community. As far as integrity of skill based or whatever, I think if you just enable crossplay on, you get the choice to enable crossplay on console, and if you want to opt out of that, you just opt out of it, and I think that just solves the issue. Right.
Good points. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next up, Turtle Duck Man.
Hello. Okay. So my thoughts on crossplay is, and I was typing it out in chat just now. Ideally, you have crossplay for everybody. Ideally, everybody is doing it. I definitely think so. I think the best way to do it is just say like it's on by default and make it very clear that it is on, and also very clear and very easy to turn it off if you don't want it on, because I think that should definitely be, you should definitely have that option. I agree with the thing about ranked play, having it off by default and possibly not being able to turn it back on. But the other thing I was going to say is, while I think crossplay is the ideal, I think that I don't know the full scope of the impact that implementing crossplay had on the game's development, but I would venture to bet that it's possible that if the game had just stuck like purely to PC and decided we're not doing like Windows 10, we're not doing Xbox, then that might have worked out better, just because I know that there was a lot of technical hurdles that came with like the Xbox integration and having that kind of crossplay. And so while crossplay is the ideal, I think that it might, in Gigantic's case, obviously, in Gigantic's case, it might have actually hurt it more than it helped it, just because of all the technical debt that it accrued. So yeah, so it's ideal if you can have it, but if you think that it would add too much technical debt, it might be better to just leave it to one system.
Got it. Good points. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up is Electro Tiger. So maybe I missed this before. I didn't know this was a feature, but I can change the name of the subcategory of this channel. So now I've got it saying what the topic is. What's up,
Hey,
Electro Tiger?
thank you again. I
I'm very glad to be here and everybody can talk to you and stuff like that. Honestly, make me happy. Nearly cried when the game was shutting down with some friends. But for the crossplay, it was really good to be able to play with people on PC. I'm only on Xbox. But my main problem was it felt a bit redundant because at the time, most people on PC didn't really want to go on Windows 10. So it was hardly in use besides playing with a few streamers like Trusin, Little Ruse, and Falco Punch. I was lucky enough to play with them. Was happy with that. But besides that, I hardly seen anybody on PC. So if you can migrate it to one big server, I say that would be the best. But I don't know how any of that works. So that's pretty much my 2 cents.
Got it. Thanks for sharing your perspective. Really appreciate it.
No problem. Stay safe.
Next up is Figments. Hey, Figments. It looks like you're broadcasting, but I don't hear anything. All right, it's borked. Well, if you can fix it, get back in queue, and I'll jump you up. Next up is Holy Shit Gold Halo.
Hello.
Hey.
You hear me?
Yep.
All right. So on the prospect of crossplay, I know it's very like not every game can do it. Obviously, every game should probably do it as it's the best way to kind of meld the community, especially one like this where everybody's so passionate. And the existence of this server and this meeting kind of is it a testament to that. But I think that starting off, if there were ever to be a re-release or a successor, I think starting off with crossplay would definitely mend the start out with a base community that we have here and make sure that no members are really left out when playing online. And I think that would be beneficial just for starting up a new community or a resurgence, just to get that bottom line of that player base that really does count and not make sure that anybody is left out. And I think the free model combined with crossplay is extremely viable, as a lot of games have shown. And that's all.
Cool. Thanks for coming out. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to do 2 more. I'm going to jump Figments up, and then we'll do 1 more after Figments, and then on to the next topic.
Hello, can you hear me?
Hey, it works.
Okay, cool. So I think the big thing that I want to see out of crossplay is input-based matchmaking rather than platform-based matchmaking. There's a few games that rely on that to moderate success. I know Call of Duty forces PC and console players to stick to one input method, either controller or keyboard and mouse, the moment they enter a match or the moment they enter matchmaking. I think something similar would be great for Gigantic, as it would help cut down on issues of people saying different control schemes are dominating the match or something like that. It also would address the ranked issues, because as long as the pools are separated based on input method and you can't change input method out in between like while you're in a match, then at that point the competitive advantage would just be, at least on the PC side, higher refresh rates, and beyond that, not much else.
Cool. Great points. I see chat getting hype about input based as well. Hey, thanks for hopping on. Appreciate it. I'm glad you got that fixed.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you.
So last person we'll invite on for this topic is Reeves. And on the topic of input-based matchmaking, we actually had people who were playing on Windows 10 who were using like a controller input mirror, so it was giving them auto aim when they were playing with mouse and keyboard. Just a little piece of trivia. Hey, Reeves.
Hi. So one thing that kind of blows me away, I didn't learn this until today actually, is that not all Windows 10 players could play together. If you were on a PC, you couldn't play with every other PC player guaranteed. I feel like that is a huge division in the community. Like, because you have all your players who play on Windows 10, and I'm not sure how it worked if you could use your Windows 10 account and have all your progress on your Steam account, or how that worked, but that just seems like a huge amount of division in the community where you just have a lot of players who just can't play together, even though they're on the same platform. They really are.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, thanks for bringing that up. And I think from my side, I think that's more of a marketing issue. It was hard for us to explain what Windows 10 was because I said Windows 10 because that's just how I refer to it. But yeah, there's something called UWP for everybody out there, is Universal Windows Platform, and that was part of the Microsoft infrastructure, as far as I understand it. So the game was developed to be played through Microsoft's digital gaming platform, which was UWP. So yeah, I guess when you say Windows 10, it's not actually Windows 10, it's UWP, because yeah, people on Windows 10 could play on Steam or they could play on UWP, like the Windows Store kind of thing. So yeah, definitely. Thanks for bringing that up.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
All right, we got one more here. Drop the private.
Hello?
Hey.
I barely know what we're even talking about, but yeah, Gigantic is dead forever. Yeah. Oh, and also,
All right, thanks for the positivity. Great. So last, we'll talk about, this is a very broad topic. Before we get into opening the floor, we'll talk about balance. So if you have any very quick comments you want to mention about balance, cool, go ahead and throw them up. All right, we'll start with Pete the Fish. And yeah, let's try to make these really quick. If you talk fast like me, cool.
Okay,
Just like
Griselma is not broken. Anyone who says she is.
Oh, okay, that was it. I didn't kick him, he left. All right, cool. There you have it, the hottest of takes. All right, Turtle Duck.
Hello. Vadasi was too strong. That's the biggest thing that I take away from balance and Gigantic. On a more serious note, I think that for the most part, the game felt pretty balanced. I know, I know that one of the things that I always hyped up when it was in like beta was that all the characters were viable, and there wasn't like, because I know in Overwatch, like when goats meta was a thing, it was like, here's 6 characters that are viable, and if you're playing any of the other characters, you're bad at the game. And I hated that. That was terrible. I didn't play Overwatch, for the record, but that people explaining that to me, it sounded awful. And I definitely think that like trying to make it so that any combination of 5 characters is a viable strategy is a great, like, if you can get your game to be there, that is kind of like the pinnacle of like where your game can be. And then like people could just play what characters they like playing and what characters are fun to them, instead of like feeling that they need to play specifically this character or else they won't be good at the game. And I think that over the course of the game's lifespan, it might have just been, I think it might have just been people getting better at the game, but it felt like there were a couple characters that kind of rose to the top and a couple characters that kind of fell to the bottom. But overall, most of the characters felt balanced, aside from a couple things like Vadasi was definitely way too strong, just like as a healer and as damage was just all over the place. A couple of like the range DPS like HK and Beckett were just like far and away the best range DPS, and then Wu was a whole different story.
All right, definitely. Hey, thanks a lot.
No problem.
Cool. There's a lot of people that want to contribute here, so I'm actually going to set a stopwatch, and I'm just going to hard cut it at 1 minute so that we can get through all of this, and then we'll open it up to other stuff. So next up is Fenor. I won't start the timer until you start talking. Oh yeah, I forgot to change the title. Yep, it is about balance, just general balance thoughts.
All right, so general cliff notes. Griselma wasn't designed for this game. Armor and healing were really strong when characters had a lot of access. access to it, and similarly, cracked and broken armor were really strong. Any characters that were able to break the stamina game were broken, like Ramsey, or characters that were able to move really far without using stamina, like Wu, were similarly a lot stronger than everybody else. And debuff immunity was also way too strong. There's the cliff notes.
Thanks, man. Nice and quick. Next up is Unoven.
It's UNO.
Oh, okay.
So one of the things I noticed with battles in general was just that, like, given how high the skill ceiling was, there were characters that were actually broken, but most people didn't notice it because no one could actually play them. Like, Wu optimally played was broken, but there were maybe like 5 people I knew who could play him. So you didn't really get that. So that was something that maybe should be considered. How do you balance around like difficulty versus actual power? Also, Ramsey was perfectly balanced and not broken. Please don't nerf him. That's about it, since it's a 1-minute thing.
Awesome, thank you. Next up is Guy 2.
Hello.
Hey.
Hi. I felt like overall the game was very well balanced, aside from maybe like a couple niche cases. But in terms of like how ranged characters related to melee characters, I think that once you got good at the game, it was fine. But I felt like the learning curve for melee characters was like overall was kind of like ridiculous. And I feel like if I didn't have all like the free time I had back then to like get good at the game and actually understand how melee characters work, it would put like a lot of people off the game, or at least in terms of playing melee characters. Like range, like if you're bad at the game, it'd be much easier to play like a ranged character and do well, as opposed to playing like a melee character. So I feel like the melee characters are actually really balanced, like, but maybe just in terms of like the learning curve, I don't really know how you could like make it better, but that was like what I always thought. So that's about it.
All right, good points. Thank you very much. Next up is Sulfus. I saw what you put in chat, so if you've got anything else, go for it.
Oh, hey, SoFech. Darn it, you've been reading my chat? I've been writing that out thinking that you wouldn't have anything else. I'm gonna say that Ashlyn was most balanced when she could summon 2 Kadors. There we go.
Oh my god. All right. Of course.
If you read my chat, that's all I had.
Yeah.
Oh,
All
thank
right.
you.
Thanks. Good to see you.
You too.
Next up is Gargan.
Yeah, so just like one thing was like Mozu's redirect was broken for forever, and so like I don't know, just like balance wise making that clearer in the future, like, you know, when a character's broken, like literally bugged, it would be better.
Oh, yeah, you mean like actual hard bugs
No,
that need
it was actually like a bug that was not working, so it just felt like I would accidentally pick it and then I just couldn't do anything with it.
Yeah. Okay, definitely. Thanks for the
So that's
feedback.
it. Yeah, no problem.
Next up is Distruttorex.
Hey, I just had a quick question. Do you think that the extended range of Whirlpool was a little bit too strong for a character with so much damage and mobility?
Oh, I'm not here to provide my commentary. I want to know what you think. If you think it was too strong, then definitely want to hear your feedback.
I think it was too strong specifically on Wu, since he was already a very strong character that brought a lot to the table. That much CC as well was a little bit too much, I think, personally.
Sounds good. Thanks a lot. All right, next up is Sephirion.
Hello.
Hey.
Hi. So I think my problems are necessarily away from like the actual balance of the game and more about how the game is going to be balanced. I think more often than not, the lifeblood of many like modern like esports very big games are that they are balanced constantly like over and over. So I think that it's mostly my thing was that I think the game needs to be balanced more often, more patches to come through to like take a look at the meta, what's going on right now, what people are playing, and then make movements from there.
Okay, interesting. I'll give you a little bit more time. I'm actually going to reset it, so we got an extra minute. So, how frequently or infrequently do you think is a good cadence for character balance updates? Like not
I
content, just character
Yeah,
balance.
like character balances. I think that depending on the update schedule of when you're going to introduce a new character, there should be one, maybe three balance patches, 1 to 3 balance patches in between, so that when you introduce that new character, before you get to the next character, you've already balanced that character and you've balanced like any changes in the meta that might have happened by that character being introduced.
All right, good stuff. Thanks a lot.
No problem.
Next up, Electro Tiger. I see a lot of differing opinions in chat, but it seems like most people think like a couple times a month, maybe like every 2 weeks is a good cadence. It's interesting. Hey,
Hey, I feel for the balance overall, the games be good, but once you do get to the higher tiers, uh, just feels like some characters are kind of useless, especially going against crossplay. Go against an Amani on PC with really good mouse and keyboard, and you're playing as Mozu, you're gonna die almost every single time. So be careful with that. And I say other characters can be a bit too slow on console. If you're trying to be an assassin, you can bump into walls a bit too much. But with mouse and keyboard, you can do really precise movements, especially with characters like Fu. So besides that, I say balances is kind of alright. It just depends on what input you have, and that's it.
cool. Thanks for the feedback. Really appreciate that.
Hey, SoFech, I can't actually raise my hand, so I'm just gonna force myself in here for a moment.
What's up?
So for balance, there are some characters that have no damage fall off, like Imani, HK Railgun. And in a game like Gigantic, I feel like not having any damage fall off, being able to do full damage from across the map is just a little overpowered. That's all I've got.
All right, cool. Thanks for coming through. Damn, mods abusing their power. All right. Next up is this is Pablo.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Hey.
The one thing I love about Gigantic is I love characters that excel in some roles and don't excel in other roles. So you really get that kind of like, oh no, I'm weak here and I'm strong here. And I felt like Gigantic had this really cool, like, ranged versus melee. And I guess maybe coming from a more casual perspective, I love the balance of the game. And I think that striking that good balance, making characters weak, but also making them feel strong in certain spots is like the most important thing. And I thought Gigantic did a great job with that. Thank you.
Rad. Appreciate that. Thanks. All right. So we're going to get Shammy in here next, but real quick, just for everybody else, I haven't gotten a sense of this yet, but there is a build that we do not speak of out there in the wilderness somewhere. We're not talking about that one. We're talking about the live game. All right. Shammy's up next.
Hey there. I'm gonna keep this like super duper quick so you can get on to the next person. I think that in a game that is a lot of ranged characters versus a lot of melee characters with high skill based movement, I think an adherence to projectile based weapons rather than hit scan ones is kind of a must.
All right. That's
All right.
great. Thank you. Much appreciated. Next up, Tiramisu.
Hi. I'll keep this also very short. You can hear me, right? Okay. Anyways, I want to say I feel like the best way to balance certain characters is add to more characters to certain roles. Like Margrave is the only one designated as a tank. And I know you guys were working on like a prototype at the time, but more people or more characters in that variety will help a lot, especially with like those big roles where there's only one person that really fulfills those kind of priorities or tanks. So that's it.
Yeah, excellent comments. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, Smash Guy.
Hey, so I played. I wanted to touch upon a comment based on the fact of like I guess debuffs. I feel like a lot of them were centralizing. So I would play like a lot of Beckett and a lot of Zenobia. I noticed with Beckett I would have more like ways to play her that just felt like it wasn't too over centralizing. Like all of her builds felt pretty useful in different scenarios. And I felt like I got more enjoyment out of playing that compared to when I played Zenobia, who was like I enjoyed the character, but I felt like there was like one specific build I always made with her. So I feel like that type of balance, making sure every ability kind of just can really like shine in specific scenarios is super important.
Cool. Build diversity, definitely. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you.
Next up is Goose. We've only got a handful of people in queue, and then we'll move it up to just whatever you guys want to talk about. I'll stick around for, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes, depending on how many people we have after this segment. Hey, Goose.
Yo. Sorry to mention the O word once again, but I feel like there's a really cool thing in Overwatch where they have an experimental tab where they let people experiment with some of the changes that devs are looking at. I think that'd be pretty cool to consider.
All right. Thanks a lot. Next up, BRB got a derp.
Hello, you hear me?
Hey.
I just want to start out by saying I'm appalled by all this granny hate that I am seeing in this chat. Granny is perfectly balanced as all things should be. And another thing I want to touch about on balance is one thing I really liked how Gigantic did well was certain characters had certain upgrade paths that would give them a little hand to deal with other characters that countered their playstyle. I thought that was something that was done really well, and in some aspects it might not have been on certain characters for certain upgrade paths, but I think if that was expanded upon it would have turned out something really good. And that's all I want to say for now. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for stopping by. Another granny lover, a gentleman and a scholar. Up next, Generic Guy.
Hello.
Hey.
Yeah. So my biggest issue with balancing of characters now that pet characters just suck. They are poorly designed, and the pet limits you instead of becoming an extension. They should be able to adapt to the rapid rotation and flow of the game. Like for example, Alpha Icing versus Scoring Icing before. Kill's AI was more responsive. She could do a lot more stuff. She could go invisible. She was very cool, you know. And now they just nerf her. She is absolutely tied to Kador and cannot do anything without him. So it's like kind of backwards. Same for Granny. Granny is just stupid. It doesn't matter if she's strong or weak. She's stupid. Her playstyle is really monotonous, and it doesn't contribute much to the match.
All right, valid points. Thanks again, Generic Guy.
Yeah, thanks, Fetch.
Up next, Cosmic.
Hello again.
Yo.
All right. I'm going to try to make this as quick as I can. Some of my points, some characters like Zenobia were at launch were kind of a bit weak and lackluster, so you wouldn't see them as often and only worked better with certain builds. Like Zenobia was good if you had like melee characters in the game, but she kind of faltered with range characters unless you knew what you were doing. Rucker, he was really strong at launch, but my boy got done so dirty with how hard he got nerfed. The only, like, after his nerf, there's only a few people you'd see playing Rucker because he'd kind of get pancaked really easy. Some characters would get their focus a bit too fast, like Imani and that tier 3 focus. Some, especially with some talents as well, which ties into this point, some talents were just, you wouldn't take them at all. Like Imani had one talent that would get rid of her recoil and also give her more focus. That's balanced. Also, with Imani's infinite range, for example, Siren Strand, when you got to that point D in class, she could just hang by the Guardian and just snipe. Someone could just, like, get the creature aggravated, she could just snipe it and kill it really fast. And then it's like, oh, well, there goes point D. And then there's also other characters like Griselma and Ramsey who could easily take down creatures or solo creatures and then just get away with no punishment.
All right. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
Thank you again.
Okay, we only have 4 more in queue here. We'll give each of them a minute. That'll push us just over 8 p.m. and then I'll chill for a little bit longer. So let's just jam through the rest of these guys. Agent DJ.
Hello, hello.
Hey.
Hey, so my opinions on balancing this is for just a quick profile on me. When I played Gigantic in the live build, I was more of a new player and I kind of arrived at the tail end of Gigantic's lifespan. So at that point it was like already slowly dying off because it was already shutting down. But in the eyes of the new player, the balance, in my opinion, was actually really nice. There were a few ideas thrown around earlier when people were talking here. The fact that there should be an experimental build, and I was thinking of balancing something as if it were like old Overwatch. From what people were saying in old Overwatch, before they started nerfing a lot, was every character was OP to an extent because they were good at what they did. So I really liked it when they balanced it, but then the way they would balance it is that they would still cater it to the playstyle of the character. So, in my opinion, yes, the experimental build would be great, but again, it should be based on like who are you getting this from, like a casual player, a competitive player. Which one should you have more of a concentration on? And then I like balances that nerf the character just enough to the point that they're still OP in this specific area or in what they do, but they are not that much dominant over this one character because of the reason that being the reason that they were nerfed. And yeah, that's it.
Cool. Thanks a lot. Next up is Turtle Duck Man. While Turtle Duck is joining, just quick question for chat, a little bit off topic, but would you prefer all characters to be weak and balanced or bonkers OP? If every character was at a low baseline or an incredibly high baseline, what would you prefer? All right, what's up, Turtle
Probably
Duck?
bonkers. Hi. So sorry I came back in because I thought of something, and I said in chat before, I don't think burst damage snipers should exist in small team-based multiplayer games. Just flat. So like Imani, Widowmaker, Hanzo, I'm sure there's people in Paladins that don't play that game. I just don't think that play pattern is healthy for those types of games. In like big scale games like Battlefield or like single player games, super cool, very fun kind of play pattern and adds a lot of depth. But like in the small scale, like 5-on-5, 6v6 kind of hero shooters, I think it's just toxic. It just makes moving around the map so much harder, and it just is like unfun to play against. It's never fun to get one shot from halfway across the map. In Gigantic, it was a little better because Imani couldn't one shot you, but she was still just super strong and detrimental from really far away. And it's just not good. I don't think that they should be in those games just at all.
All right, point taken. Thank you.
No problem.
Okay, last one for this topic, and then we'll just open up the floor. It is effing J.
Hi.
Hey.
One of the things as a casual player that I always struggled with in terms of balancing was I felt like there was a disconnect between how the character was designed, like meant to be played, and then how it was played in game. Like Uncle Sven is like a healer slash utility, and he's my favorite character. I'm an Uncle Sven main. Like I enjoyed playing him, but if I needed to heal, I would usually play someone else like Vidasi, just because having a more focused build and the way she was balanced specifically around one focused thing was better. Because while I may have enjoyed another character more, not being able to fully dedicate myself to one specific task, I felt created sort of a frustration that I was unable to kind of do the thing I needed to do, and that didn't really feel incredibly balanced to me. But that's it.
All right, good stuff. Thanks for coming through. Let me clean up my notes real quick here. While I'm doing this again, big ups to the mods for helping run this. It's so awesome. We have this server and this community. You know, we could not have done anything close to this without the mods. So thanks everybody who is modding and, you know, running this server, all that jazz. Everybody who's supporting this server, you guys are great too. And of course, everybody that's just come out tonight answering these questions, providing your feedback and perspective. Like, this is so helpful. And I'm happy to be able to have an opportunity to do this too with such a big audience. I definitely wasn't expecting such a huge audience to come out, but man, you guys, it's great to see how many people love Gigantic and who still remember it fondly and who still want to see Gigantic come back and become a thing. All right, we're going to open the floor. I'm going to give everybody 1 minute and it's going to be a hard cut. So if you go over a minute, I'm actually just going to mute you and kick you out. Sorry. Like, no disrespect. I just want to get things moving. So yeah, go ahead and raise your hand if you'd like. This will just be a whatever you want to talk about kind of thing. So again, like the structure of this is just to hear your feedback about Gigantic, what you think could have been better, even if you want to say what you really liked and you wish there was more of, just anything. And so while people are kind of piling in here, to recap the topics that I wanted to hear from you guys was 1, why do you think Gigantic failed? 2, what were missing features? 3, what was wrong with combat? 4, how was the onboarding experience? 5, what about bots? 6, accessibility. 7, monetization. 8, cross-platform. And 9, balance. And then this last one will just be whatever you guys want. All right. Again, I'm just going to be pulling people in here. You have 60 seconds. If you go over, I'm going to mute you and kick you. So no disrespect. Just want to get through everybody. First up is iMystic.
Okay. One, I think player popularity should be considered in buffs and nerfs and like stuff like that. Some guy mentioned that more buffs than nerfs, but I'm scared of power creep, so I feel like it should be like an equilibrium. Also, a question that you asked was if I prefer overly busted or like sort of like undertuned. I like undertuned because once again, scared of power creep. And lastly, I think like a PTS server for like big changes would be like a cool thing. So like let's say like a new character comes out, and you want him to be played in a certain way, and like other people will play him like when he actually drops, he'll be played in like an unintended way, like a way that you didn't think, and it's like way stronger than you think. I feel like giving players the option to play him freely before he actually releases could help, I guess, not ruin the game for like that time. That's all. Also, Candy Corn is good.
All right, good stuff. Thanks. Next up, Mod Quickpaw.
Hello, hello.
Hey.
All right, I just wanted to say that the design in this game in general is what drew me to it the most at first. And then as I fell in love with the art design, the character design was what really, really stuck out to me. I love the diversity in the characters. I love the diversity in the artwork and yet how they really did an excellent job of keeping it all together. And I really love that the characters' kits really did feel like they belonged to each individual character that was made for them. I feel like it was a really excellent game And the only issue I had with the visuals was that sometimes the maps were visually a little cluttered. But I love the character design, and I think that the artist did an excellent job.
Good stuff. Thank you. Next up, Pocket Boy.
Hi there, SoFech. Thanks so much for this game. Literally changed my life. I attended PAX 2016 with some friends and came away with a gorgeous Origin PC thanks to you guys. I just wanted to say I've got several friends, myself included, who all play Overwatch right now competitively. However, due to the state of the game right now, we're eager to find something else to scratch that same itch. And so if there were ever a time for Gigantic to be pitched and have a chance to be revitalized, I think now is the perfect time. So thanks so much for all that you've done for the artists, and hope you can bring us some good things.
Great, love to hear it. Congrats on the PC too. That's rad.
Life changer, literally. I still have the case, and I'm gonna get it framed sometime. So I'm very excited.
All right, cool. Thanks. Next up is Gedster. And yeah, I get to do a lot of giveaways at work. It's so cool. So if you ever see one of my streams, more likely than not, you'll have a chance at winning something, whether it's a code or hardware or something. It's pretty cool. All right, Gedster, what's up?
I'm not gonna take a ton of time. I just wanted to jump in here and just give a little bit of thanks. I discovered this game initially because of my good friend. Some of you know him as Medi Stein. He introduced this game to me one day. I looked at it, I saw him play one game, and I immediately fell in love. And honestly, if I had not discovered Gigantic, I would not be where I am today. I just recently I'm trying to do more things in the esports space, and I just recently was able to go live on my personal stream with a professional Apex player and VOD review his gameplay with him in the ALGS Pro League. And I just wanted to say thank you, because if Gigantic had not entered my life, that would never have happened, and I would not have made it this far. So thank you so much.
Damn, congrats. That's great to hear. Yep, same with me. Next up is Scruffy Hawk. Yeah, without Gigantic, I probably wouldn't have a career in the game industry. Hey. It looks like you're broadcasting, but I'm not hearing anything. Scruffy Hawk. All right, we'll give you a minute to sort that out. I'm going to kick you, and just go ahead and reconnect, and I'll look for you after the next couple people, and we'll get you in the front of the line. Next up is G-Man.
Hello.
Hey.
I actually have questions, so if it's fine, I'm gonna ask them. Are you still in contact with the original developers of Gigantic?
Some of them, yeah.
And also, are you aware of Project Stamina? It's
Yeah, I was.
a.
Sorry, go ahead.
You can continue.
Oh yeah, I was following it pretty close, and actually a few people on the dev team were good friends of mine. And so I heard about what happened, and I've seen some things and I've heard some things. But yeah, I definitely have a strong pulse on the community.
Yeah. Well, that's all the questions I had, so yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, thanks for coming by. All right, let's see if we can get Scruffy Hawk in.
Does it work this time?
Hey, it's working.
Fantastic. Don't ask me for gameplay advice. I've literally played one game in my entire life, and it was a loss with Beckett. So, anyways, the only bit of suggestion or advice I wanted to give was there's absolutely nothing wrong with looking at other successful games and trying to inspect what made them successful in the first place, whether it be timing, content, or other stuff surrounding it. The hardest part is always the gameplay's foundation, and that's been accomplished, with flying colors with Gigantic. So from there, things like fleshing out content, properly drumming up hype or attention around the project, and also the monetization, it can be inspired from other publishers. Figure out what they do right and how that might be implemented. One suggestion I would have would be like a customizable mode or a workshop, because other games like Overwatch or even Rivals of Aether have those, and it allows more engagement from players, entertainment. It's where they can express creativity and even where devs can get ideas for the game itself. It benefits all parties around. Thank you very much for your time, and I wish you the best.
Yeah, thanks for coming by. Really good points. Next up, Princess Mantifina. Yeah, Mantifina.
All right. Yeah, can I be heard?
Yep.
All right. I'm going to try to be as quick as possible. So, I think one of the issues that you have is also the fact of like community like content. Like I personally I'm like into a lot of like communities and what is it? Art and like personality and having these like amazing like representations and having a character that you can really drive with. I think that like like Deltarune and a bunch of other anime like you see a lot of people making community content for that type of stuff, and I believe that that's what Gigantic is missing. I do know that there is lore and a lot of it, but I don't know much of the lore. The only thing I really know is like Ashlin's like lore technically, just because I play her a lot, but that's about it. I think that it needs to be easier and just very easier to access and very like blunt into you so that you could actually enjoy and get really connected to a character. That's about what I would have to say is something that would be good.
All right, good stuff. Thanks.
All right, thank you.
Next up, Gargan.
So actually, I was gonna say that I really liked the lore of the game and how like it's sprinkled everywhere in the game. Like it was on the tarot cards and like on skins and stuff like that. And I really liked how it was just like, you could find lore, but I agree, it could have been more centralized. And I don't think we got like a really good look into like I think, there could have been more like explicit bits of the lore. But I did like that, it was everywhere. You could find it everywhere as little tidbits.
Cool. Thanks.
Yep.
Hitomashu up next.
Hey, just wanted to just quickly tell a quick story about how I found Gigantic. So one day I was just browsing the Xbox store, happened to find a free game, downloaded it, played a tutorial, had no idea what it meant, but eventually got into the game, started seeing where the real potential of the game could go. I ended up showing this game over to my friends. One of my friends, his name was Prey. He ended up enjoying the game a lot. What ended up happening is that we played this game every single day, in the morning, in the afternoon, and at night. And that happened for pretty much the entirety of Gigantic's live showing for us. When the news came out that the game was going to be shut down quite quickly after it was acquired by Perfect World, it absolutely crushed me. And it's funny, you can actually go back to the Gigantic subreddit and see my post of me asking what are they going to do next. But anyway, me and my friends had made a promise that we were going to all join, get on the game for the last day that it was going to be out. I think it was somewhere in July. And unfortunately, my friend actually ended up passing away, the one that I ended up playing the game with the most. So in a lot of ways, this game is very special to me and holds a very special memory of this friend of me. So I wanted to say thank you for helping bringing this game to fruition. That's all.
Wow, thanks a lot for sharing that story, pal.
No problem.
Next up, Big Z11. Yo, Big Z, looks like you're muted.
Yeah, I just realized that. Can everyone hear me now?
Yep.
Okay. It was basically I just wanted to say that the map interactions that happen in Final Clash are very interesting. I kind of wish that there was more maps that actually dealt with like how Sanctum Falls was like it. Like say every clash you get like an I'm sorry, I'm nervous. Like every clash, you get like something opening up on the enemy side of the map to make it easier to push and something like that. And then when the final clash happens, it's like an entire map switch.
So, like more map interactability, more diversity in the maps.
Yes.
Good stuff.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Goodbye.
Yeah, thanks. Appreciate it. Next up, Sophia Marie.
Hello again.
Hey.
I kind of wanted to talk about my new player experience from way back in the day when we were kind of still in alpha. And I remember like talking specifically to the devs and during that time period because they were really active in the community and them teaching me how to play Trip and giving me a lot of the nuances of the game. So like my new player experience was a lot different than the people that played during like the Steam arc. I Windows 10, Xbox days. So like it was, I feel like maybe being a little bit more in touch with the community when if it ever came back, kind of like they were when that was, would be really helpful for the game.
All right, good stuff. Thank you.
Yep, thank you for this.
Sure. Next is Electro Tiger.
Thank you again. I wanted to really just talk about the lore and art style and the characters themselves. I personally grew attached to Mozu and Beckett as the characters to play. I wanted to know more about Charnock, but okay, my main point of Lumenco is just the world for the Clash and stuff. Sanctum Falls is one of my favorite maps, and so is Willow Grove. Willow Grove for the really nice forest and the loop around, seeing where Granny normally hangs out at, and apparently Mozu, if I remember correctly. But Sanctum Falls in particular, because had a fun match with my friend where we had a clash. We both were Mozu on enemy teams, and besides fighting each other, we kind of just explored around in the backside, just jumping through the water, teleporting and stuff. And even though you're not supposed to be around there, you guys put a lot of attention to detail for how the flooding is going to work and stuff like that, and how the map will look. And I just want to say thank you for making this game and making beautiful art.
Rad. Thanks for playing. Next up, Reign of Dawo. Hey. I think requests are closed, so hopefully you can get that fixed real quick. All right, last chance. Sorry, pal. All right, well, if you want to type it into chat, I'm reading chat. So, and maybe somebody else, if you have a question, maybe somebody else will be able to answer, or I'll probably pick it up. Next up is Sapphiron. Saphirion, yeah.
Hello.
Hey.
Hi. So I don't really have a lot to add that people haven't already added, but I do want to kind of just dig in on like what the issue was. I think that this game was incredible. It was beautiful, it looked nice, it was fun to play. Everybody that I got to play the game kept playing the game and has been invested in seeing the game come back. They checked the Reddit, they checked the Discords, they were following Project Stamina. I think like this game is something that was very, very special. And I think that it just was a series of unfortunate events that came by, like Overwatch coming out at the same time, and this, that, and the third. And that's really what led to the downfall of the game. But what the developers and what the people that made this game, like did and what they've created is absolutely incredible. And I want to say thank you to you and to the people that have actually been in the background helping to make this game, stay in the minds of the people that loved it.
Hey, much appreciated. Thanks for coming through.
Thank you.
All right, Froggy Wizard.
Hello.
Hey.
Hey, all right. The one thing I got to say is the game's great, art's great, animation's great, fighting's great, map readability is okay. Sometimes the colors get a little too meshy in there, and sometimes you'll just lose different paths when you're in a fight and everything like that. But overall, the game's pretty good. It's sad the way it went. Many like blockades and other games coming out in a flood of the market. The only thing I really want to say is the best thing you can do about balance or any of the sort is keep characters like really good for casuals to play, so they feel good when they play them. But for people that keep playing them, make like the bar of skill like higher, so when they actually master them, they actually feel good. That's all. You can kick me now.
All right, cool. Thanks. Appreciate the feedback. Tiramisu.
Hi there, I'm back. I don't really have much else to add to what most people have said. The only thing I'm just going to really highlight is the potential in which the world of Gigantic could bring in terms of monetization and engagement with other people. I think that there could be a lot of potentials with the houses and how they can be as a token for people to invest themselves or put themselves in the world, especially if you develop aesthetics with certain houses and other things. And they can be rooting for a team. There are already like some aesthetics already explored for like the Vedra or I forgot her name, Chicken Mom, but those can really that kind of hub and things can add to ways for people to engage, or like even just like a hub where people can interact in the world of Gigantic and immerse themselves in the game. So everything else, thank you for everything that you do for this game.
Yeah, for sure. Good stuff. Thanks.
All right. Take care.
Next up, Big Head. And yeah, on that last point, we have a massive backlog of lore that never saw the light of day. What's up, Big Head?
Hey, I just wanted to really just sing my praises about the design of the game. The style was fantastic. The character design was immaculate. And I would love if you guys made like Paco plushes. I think that'd be perfect.
Oh yeah, I totally agree. I really
That's
want
all I wanted
plushies
to say.
for every character. Well, cool. Thanks. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Next up, Quinn Griffin. Okay. I definitely didn't drop Quinn. I hit the invite to speak button and Quinn vanished. So Quinn, if you were wanting to speak, just type whatever into this chat channel and I'll see it. I'm sorry, I forgot the name. Unoven or something.
Ewan Owen, like
Ewan Owen,
the
okay,
Agatha
yeah.
Christie novel.
Yeah, okay.
Anyway,
The two V's. Yeah.
I did want to briefly mention one thing, which was with some maps, and particularly Canyon, the game's got a bit too samey because of how choky the map was and how little paths there were. So I would have liked if some maps had like semi-random variations, like events where the map changed between games to make them a little bit more interesting. And besides that, Ramsey is a really great design, one of my favorites. I really miss him. There's a Ramsey shaped hole in my heart. I love that Brooklyn dog. So yeah, really love that. That's it. Bye.
Oh, thanks for coming through. All right, Pete the Fish.
Okay, hello, I'm back.
Hey.
I forgot to say in balance that I think adult creatures are awful. I like the idea of them, but I don't like the idea that I have to spend my focus and then they're still not that much better than the young ones, and they give more focus to the enemy team. So I feel like if they if they stayed alive long enough and collected enough focus, then they could grow up themselves, or you could put focus in them quicker to have them become adults. But I don't think they should give more than the youngs.
All right, valid point. Seems like a lot of people in chat agree too.
Thank you.
Cool, thanks. All right, Smash Guy.
Hey, I just wanted to comment really quick. I think this game had like all the right things going for it in terms of just the type of gameplay it had, the art style. It was, honestly, it's the most original art style that stands out to me since like Team Fortress 2. Um, I would say really the only shortcoming was really getting the word out about this game. I know transparency is huge, especially in today's for these mobile games or not mobile games, but these multiplayer games. And I really feel like if this game or a successor were to happen at some point, it would need to really embrace that and hit the ground running with that community aspect. And I think that's the one thing that I felt like was always missing from Gigantic as a whole. But aside from that, I really feel like this was something special, and I was really glad I got a chance to experience it.
Rad. Appreciate that. Thanks. Hey, Turtle Duck Man, you're up again.
Howdy. Just wanted to say that, just like everyone else, game was amazing. I want to say two things. One, if you bring back the game somehow, one, please let me in some alternate mode play as with more than one of the same character, because I desperately want my 10-man Margrave game so much, because that would be so funny. And two, also if you're planning to bring back the game, if you need a VFX artist and or a 3D artist, I'm graduating in like 3 months, so hit me up.
Oh shit, rad.
All right, thanks for putting this together, SoFech.
Yeah, man, I'll keep you on speed dial. Next up is Tall.
Hello, can you hear me? Oh, hello?
Yep, we can hear.
Oh, cool. Okay. I always wanted to say that I think that team deathmatch would be very important for a game like this. When you have a game that has such an incredible, just like core PvP, which is like really fast paced, TDM does wonders. Like I was so hyped when Overwatch added it back when I used to play that, and also just free for all. It's a very like I'm no game dev, but in terms of like actual development, it's pretty low investment. You don't need to balance it too much. You just throw the players into a map and let them go ham. I think it would probably draw me in more too. But I think that's. Oh, and also another thing is like letting people sort of in queue just play in a small match together. Like I had thought of that during someone brought up Hub. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
Good stuff. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Is Devoltuous?
Yeah, it's Devoltious. It's good. You can go with Devo, it doesn't matter. But what I wanted to say is the whole time I wanted to talk, but it was mainly feedback about the game, and I had nothing negative to say about this game. Like, I love this game so bad that when I learned it was going to shut down, I thought I could do something, so I bought the game twice. It was so bad. But anyways, what I wanted to say is I have some core memories about the game, like terrorizing people with Margrave, so much CC, just stomping the ground and knocking them up, and getting dropped off the map by Woos. Oh, so good. Like I played different MOBAs. I played League. I played Heroes of the Storm. Like I could see some similarities. Same with Overwatch and Paladin. When I go back and forth to these games, I'd be like, yeah, I see some similarities. But Gigantic, nothing came close to it. And until this day, I never ever played a game that made me feel so good about playing it. There's nothing similar to it. It was just too great. Just too great. But that's it. That's it.
Love it. Thanks for sharing, man.
See you.
Cool. We got 4 more, and then we're gonna wrap. Next up, Fenor.
All right, so I pretty much just can't overstate how important Gigantic has been in my life. I started playing right around Steam release when I was just beginning high school, and now here I am in my second year of college. And I have all of my best friends online have been met through Gigantic in some way, and I just love how the community has gotten together and stayed together, and we've all been here through the thick and thin for years. And also, I would kill to get a Gigantic trucker hat. That's all I gotta say about that.
Thanks, buddy. Really appreciate it. Okay, Cosmic. You're up.
Hello, and thank you for having me again. Gig was pretty life-changing for me. I got to play during a really bad time in my life. I was in senior year of high school when a lot of stuff had went down, and I was just in a really bad spot emotionally and mentally, on top of dealing with a pretty bad anxiety disorder. The gig community is honestly the only community I've ever been able to interact with, because I typically can't bring myself to do something like that. And something that really drew me to gig was the art. Of course, the art, the flow of the game, and also the lore. I spent so many hours organizing that lore, tying this dot to this one, even going through and listening to every single voice line and writing down what I could hear. Did you know that Lord Gnosis has no character interaction lines? And that makes sense with his character, because he's kind of self-centered, he's a bit egotistical. But then a character like Paco has a lot of interactions with the other characters because he's friendly, he's a baby, he loves everybody. And it's just this really small detail that I don't know how many people would have noticed it, but it just really brought more to the game. And it's just, I love this game so much. It's one of those games my friends get scared to ask me about, because I will go off on it for hours and hours and hours, and it's just, I love this game so much, you know?
That was wonderful. Thanks so much for sharing.
Yeah,
Thanks for
thank
being
you,
here
and
today.
thank you. Yeah, thank you for doing this.
All right, next up, 3021 Time Traveler. Damn, visions of the future?
My quantum reserves are running low. I don't have time to do this. On the timeline where catastrophic events happen, life as you know it in the future is completely destroyed. And after years of timeline analysis,
Oh man, I guess the internet sucks in the future. I didn't kick him. That sucks, man. That was good too. Oh man. Sorry, Mr. Time Traveler. Man, I don't know what happened. I think he got disconnected. But that was rad. Yeah, the build up. Damn bummer. All right, and last but not least is Rena. All right, Rena, you got the last spot. Are you around? Probably been waiting a while. Hey, I see you in chat. I think you have to accept the invite. Somebody said it was at the top of the screen. Hey.
Hello?
Yep, you're in.
Yeah, they saved the best for last. So what I was going to say was that I believe if the game ever gets another shot, that monetization should be pursued outside of in-game monetization with things like plushies, like someone mentioned the Paco plushie, shirts, etc. I know mostly merchandise came in the form of giveaways, which was kind of not a good way to get money back, but that's just what I think. I think monetization should be pursued outside of in-game skins and cosmetics. And One more thing, Sven should get a gun. Give Sven a gun. That would have been a great balance change. That's it.
Damn, and ending it on the hottest take. Imagine Uncle Sven rolling up, his nips popping out. He's crunk off that purple drank. He's just got some dualies blasting. Oh yeah, man, that's the type of gigantic that I want to see. All right, whew, that was a lot. Again, big ups to all the mods for hosting this. Like, really appreciate you guys setting this up and hanging out for this whole time, listening in, doing the moderation duties, and just in general being so supportive of Gigantic. And of course, all of you that are still here, everybody that was here before, and all 133 of you that are still kicking around, you guys are the best. This has been so amazing. I have nearly 4 pages worth of notes. There's so much here. So this gives me a lot of ammo, which is exactly what I was looking for today. So I did not expect this to be as gigantic as it ended up being, but I guess it's good to see that there's still an audience for this game, and that people still care. I don't want to get with the waterworks, man. I just want to cut it off. Anyway, all right. That's it. Until next time, we'll see you on the airship.